circles here where voices thrive. Turn on your screens, let the magic unfold. Listening and healing as stories are told. Come one, come all, this is your time. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. In a circle podcast where hearts unite. Sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light. Community strong, we're never alone. Together as one, we've created a home. With laughter and love, we break down the wall.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Inner Circle podcast. Today is Wednesday, it's our Wednesday business segment, Politics and Money, the Caucus Connection. For those who don't know, for those who don't mess with politics, even though politics messes with you, yesterday in Minnesota was Caucus night. I think it's either the first Tuesday of the election year, but Ms. B can say more to that. I'm your host, Abe Kamara, and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm here with my co-host, Ms. B. Ms. B, welcome to the show.
Good evening, everyone. It's your girl, Miss B, and happy to be here. It's Money Wednesday.
Yeah. Well, folks, you can contribute to the conversation tonight by calling our number 952-594-5154 or putting a comment in the chat if you have a question about Caucus. So tonight, basically, money and politics, right? The Caucus connection. And these are the Caucus, my understanding is like a golf course, right? Where in like the people, you go and network with, with some heavyweights, political heavyweights and things like that. But also, before we dive into things, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on X, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. So it's going to be a great conversation tonight, man. Whenever there's politics and money, always.
Exactly.
So, Ms. B, I know I consider myself a politically active person, but I'm not a retail politician, right?
You're not a what?
Retail politician, where
explain more. What is a retail politician? We learning something, folks.
Well, retail politician is people who are in the weeds, right? It's like they go to like the caucus that you went to last night. They attend political events. They do all things politics. I love politics obviously because it keeps me informed. Politics, business, and finance, they mix, right? So I'm always in tune with those, but I'm not on a retail level, But you attended the caucus last night. How was it?
I am on the retail level. I will say, before we segue into that, money and politics, right? Think about the immigration stuff that's happening right now. Nicki Minaj. I'm sure everybody's been seeing Nicki Minaj with Donald Trump and getting the gold card and how she paid, I don't know how many millions of dollars to get the card. Well, the context behind that is the fact that Nicki Minaj, as wealthy as she is, and as long as she has been in this country, she is not a citizen. She's not a citizen, and she is potentially an undocumented, resident of the United States, where she came from Trinidad at the age of 5, and she's just been here all her life, and rise to fame, and she has all this money. But here it is, she's undocumented. And again, money and politics, right? So it is to her favor to befriend the president to hopefully help with processing her paperwork, because he has not officially, I don't think any bill has been passed to officially put in to what he's trying to do, pay for citizenship or whatever that process I think has created. It's not officially in, so now she has to go and figure out how she can become legalized in this country. So I brought that up to say that, folks, that especially when it comes to the African immigrant community, Liberians, we like to say, I don't have time for politics. I don't want to get involved in that thing. And then especially if you're a business owner, and you're not involved in politics, that means there's policies and things being put in place to cause barriers for your business that you are not knowing about or you're not even participating in. And I think if you participate and become a retail politician, that when you get to certain levels in your life, it's going to pay off, right? And so you get to learn all these things that look like nothing, that are, just may seem like nuances, like a caucus. Caucus is very important. And last night, you see how powerful it can be, because you tend to think that because of everything that is happening, the immigrant community wasn't going to show up. It was a whole thing between the party chairs and local chairs and national chairs. Do we hold the caucus or not, based on what's happening on the ground? But the vote happened and the caucus happened last night, and it was packed. It was packed by people of color. It was packed by immigrants. It was packed by Liberians, and we'll get to that part. But it was, and that was just where I went to go support the candidates that I'm supporting, where they were caucusing. Caucusing was happening throughout the state last night, so that everybody can know it was happening throughout the state. And it was just that one location I was at, and I saw how community is coming out. So I believe what's happening right now has provided some momentum. Go ahead.
Okay, well, a couple of things. First of all, the Trump gold card. I know you guys like to, bash that thing. That the Trump gold card. First of all, I don't know Nicki Minaj status, right? I don't know whether she's illegal. She said illegally. I don't want to make that. I don't want to. I can't say I'm disputing your claim. Or I can't say.
Fellow Republican.
What I do know is that I think she was on DACA.
Yes.
I think she was on DACA, which made her to be
Yes.
here legally.
Yes.
She might have been citizen, because at some point in time I saw that wherein, I think during Trump's first term, when he tried to mess with DACA, she was against that. Now she have gone, she have had an awakening, a reawakening. She have come to our side and realized, But all things aside, right? The Trump gold card is for wealthy individuals who want to, fast track the process of becoming legal residents, right? And Nicki Minaj said she got hers free. The president gave to her free. So that's what, according to her, right? She and the president was on stage. She said the president gave to her her gold card free. She didn't have to pay anything because of her support for the president. So that's what I know about the Nicki Minaj situation. Whether she's illegal, I know she mentioned something about DACA. So I think she was on DACA, which made her legal, and DACA hasn't been canceled. The second thing, to your point about the caucus. First of all, for our folks who don't know what caucus are, right? Caucuses are grassroots political organizing, right? They are not for voting. Grassroots political organizing.
Yes.
And I think that is unique to Minnesota. I think I could be
no,
it's not.
No, it's not unique to Minnesota. It was actually, okay. It was the Iowa.
Well, Iowa does it, but Iowa does it. During the presidential election season, don't they?
Yes, they do. So, but yeah, it's done differently, but it's not unique to us. We do it differently, but yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, the way it's done, I guess the point I was trying to drive at, the way it's done in Minnesota, I think it's every election year where set me straight on this. I think it's every Tuesday. Is the first Tuesday of the election year, or second Tuesday, or first Tuesday of the election year, whatever. And then these political parties, both Republican and Democrats, right, have their grassroots, and folks that normally attend caucuses, like folks that are really politically engaged, right? The party, their viewers, their respective parties, really recruit them. They can, you as a candidate, can also encourage, new voters, individuals that have not been part of the process to get involved and things like that. So that's what it is. Basically, like a grassroots political events where the both political parties in Minnesota here, or even other political parties, bring their folks together. And I think Ms. B maybe can expand on this more. I don't know what they do at that caucus. What are they doing? What it is that they are doing at those caucuses? Maybe you can expand on it. What are they doing on caucus night? What happens on caucus night for the education of our folks, right? Because I'm glad you said a lot of the Librarians were there last night, but the thing we are lacking in this country when it comes to these processes, right? we are not involved, and to your point earlier, even we'll get to the business people, down the line here, but what happens on caucus night?
So, okay, here's the process, and then we'll get to some of the successes of last night. So basically, people who go to caucus are residents. All you have to do is live in the address and show up to the precinct, the caucus place where you can go and caucus, and you are allowed to caucus. All you have to do is be a resident of the place that you live. So when I say all you have to do, that means documented, undocumented. All you have to do is be a resident. You don't have to be a green card holder. You don't have to be a U.S. citizen to caucus.
So wait, because when Donald Trump, yeah, you say now maybe the so uh,
Because
why would a non-voter attend, or someone who is not legally allowed to vote attend a caucus?
because it's a part of how you um are involved or starting to get involved in the political process that we like to happen here in this country, right? Your ability to be a part of the political process. So you are showing up, even
So
though if you're not legal, you are showing up to help a legal person. Because let's not get it twisted. The candidates who are running for office have to be legal. They have to live in the place in which they're running for office for, and they have to be
and those that are voting for them have to be legal. So why would a non-voter, someone who's
because
not,
this is not a official voting in somebody into office process.
so
So this is what a caucus.
is it about civic engagement,
Yes,
civic education, civic
exactly.
engagement?
The caucus is basically a civic engagement process. What it does is you help the party to decide who to give their endorsement to. It's just a party endorsement process. So you show up February 3rd to become a delegate. You become a delegate and you show up to the convention in May. And it's at the convention you vote. And so all the candidates will be there trying to be endorsed by the party. And so then you will vote all those candidates and they'll count the votes. The person with the most, I think it's like either 60%, I forget what the percentage is, or 55% of the votes get to move on to get the endorsement. They will automatically be endorsed by the party. And so that's what the purpose of the caucus is. That's all that is. People showed up last night. They went to their various precincts, right? And your precinct
So
is the
let
place.
me let me stop you there in your tracks a little bit, because here
Sure.
on the Eating Cycle podcast, we want to provide accurate and information. Because some of the information that you're providing, right, making me as a Republican, making me jittery. But
It
anyway,
shouldn't, because
but,
there's
but
nothing.
anyway, wait. So those that participate in our caucus, right, is
Mhm,
that we want to become a delegate to go to the convention.
mhm.
Someone who's not authorized or legal to vote, can they attend a party convention?
Yes, the party convention. This is like it's a club. Let's just say we're part of a golf club.
But
Being a golf,
if you're not going to vote anyway, why are you participate? Why are you even going that far? Why does a party allow you to go that far?
because you have a stake in who, as a resident, as somebody who is residing in this country, whether legal or illegal, you have a stake in who gets to be in office. You can't vote for that person because you cannot legally vote for that person come election day. You can't vote for them in the primary. You can't vote for them come election day, right? You have to be a U.S. citizen to vote, right? So you can't vote for them election day. However, who is sitting in that office does impact your life. They impact the city that you live in, that you can, mind you, you can go and buy a house. You can go and buy a house. You can own a business. So that person does impact those other parts of your life, whether or not you are a citizen. So that's why it's important to you who gets elected into office. And although you cannot vote for that person to get into office, you can help that person if aligns, your interest aligns with the agenda in which they're hoping to move when they do get into office.
So basically, you are making sure the right candidate get on the ballot by aligning with the party and endorsing that person, and then maybe as a party person, you campaign for the person during the election, but you cannot vote.
You cannot vote. You knock doors. You pay money into their campaign. You can endorse them. as a resident who you believe in what they're doing. You can go on endorsement. There's a lot of things you can do besides just casting that vote.
Okay.
And those things are all those activities are very much important as casting that.
Okay, then let's move on to last night.
So last night, the party, the DFL party, reported that 30,000 people, including first time caucus goers, showed up to caucuses, right?
In the
And
entire state,
yes, showed up to
thirty
caucuses.
thousand.
30,000 people. That's a record. Exactly. Because
Really?
again, yeah. Because again,
There's 5 million resident. There's over 5 million resident in the state. 30,000, and then that's a
it's
record.
huge because again, like you said, people think like, well, it holds no real weight, right? So that's why some people would not bother to show up. And sometimes, oftentimes, if you can see the convention date. And if you're not going to be in town, which is what ultimately happened to some of the folks that showed up and was trying to be delegates, they was like they looked at their schedule and they're not going to be in town for the convention. It makes no sense for you to become a delegate, right? Because you have to show up the day of the convention to be able to cast that vote to support your candidate. And so what happens was these candidates, they reach out to people to help people show up and become delegates because this is helping them to get the endorsement. So they're making phone calls, they're knocking on doors, they are having people complete applications. They're doing a lot as a candidate to help people show up on February 3rd to become a delegate just so that they can get that endorsement.
Okay, let me just hold it a little bit. Well, folks, to know we are discussing money and politics. Politics and money, the caucus connection, politics, finance, and money, the caucus connection. Ms. B is educating us for those of us who don't attend caucuses or who are not involved in grassroots politics or in retail politics. She's educating us tonight. But let me just couple of stuff so folks you can participate in the conversation tonight, right? By putting a comment in the chat, if you want to learn more about caucus, or if you watch this segment later, you have a question, you can always email us, chat with us on Facebook, YouTube, wherever you watch us from. But Miss B, though, right, you were saying a couple of things. I just want to get that clarification. Like, first of all, the 30,000 people that show at the DFL caucuses last night, you have to be at those caucuses. Is it 30,000? Is it only those 30,000 folks that are allowed to attend the convention?
No, the convention will have people who that are not even delegates be a part of the convention, right? However, if you're not a delegate, when they call the floor to order, you will not be allowed to be on the floor because you can't vote. So that's how
So
you're able to differentiate from bystanders and people who are delegates.
then my second question is, do you have to attend the caucus to be a delegate?
Yes, you must have attended last night and registered to become a delegate.
Man, it's like, so you people be giving us candidates that 30,000 people going to decide who are the DFL endorsed candidates.
Yes. And doesn't necessarily mean that
They are going to win anyway.
you're not endorsed, you won't win. Because I will shout out my girl, Representative Samantha Vang, for Brooklyn Center and a little bit of Brooklyn Park. She's in SD 38B. I forget sometimes. However, thank you, Representative Samantha Vang. She did not get the endorsement. Somebody else got the endorsement and she won.
Oh,
So
when she was running for the first time.
for the first time, she ran for the first time. She did not get the party endorsement, but she won.
Okay. Okay.
And
Okay.
so just because you don't get the endorsement does not mean that you can't win or you shouldn't move forward with your campaign. People like to get the endorsement because they feel like it opens up opportunities for their campaign to get support and endorsement from other. Because what happens is if you have somebody like Ilhan Omar or Globalchar, Tina Smith, and you're looking for their endorsement, they won't be able to endorse you, right? They will have to endorse the party endorsed candidate.
So, what are some of the benefits of being a party endorsed candidate?
Again, whatever resources and that can come with it and endorsements. Those endorsements carries weight. Like if you have Tina Smith, who has been elected numerous times to the senator, and she gives you an endorsement, that means her votes, people that have always voted for her, those votes now come to you. right? That's what some of the benefits are, right? The
Mhm.
party has an office. And when they open up that office, now you can office out of that office as a candidate, right? You have access to volunteers, you have access to the van, you have access to folks who are voted, who are registered voter, who are known to have voted before in past election. You have access to all these resources to help strengthen your ability to reach out to the voters and get elected.
So basically, in a nutshell, you have access to the party infrastructure and resources.
Yes.
Okay. 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 Well, folks, we are discussing money and politics tonight. The caucus connection. Last night was a big night. Minnesota was a caucus night. So both of the major parties had the caucuses. And Ms. B is saying, with the DFL, I have not checked on the Republicans. I have not checked on my party to see how I was. But I know the current Speaker of the House of Representatives, Lisa Dearman, won the straw poll. I heard that she won the straw poll on the Republican side. But I know on you guys' side, Amy is running on a post, right? No one is basically running against her. Right? She's a heavyweight. No one's running against her. So I know
But
she's.
it's not, according to data, it's not going to be an easy feat for her.
Mm,
She did not look favorable around among progressives. There were a
mm,
lot of uncommitted folks, right? So let's just say in the Wedge neighborhood, 70 people reportedly voted uncommitted, while 19 voted for Klobuchar. And so what it is that, people are looking back to when she was Hennepin County attorney. And it happened during her recent reelection bid, right? Where a lot of what she did as a Hennepin County attorney, people felt like she did a lot of damage in that role and she caused harm. Even, um, you know, getting a 16-year-old Black boy committed to jail for a crime that we will find out he did not commit, right? When all the evidence was there that was overlooked and she prosecuted him and got him convicted. And years later, I don't know how many years later, to
Well,
find out that he was not responsible for that crime. So it's
well,
those things that people are looking at. What? Go ahead.
we Democrats always look backward, right? It's like you don't focus on the future, or you don't, or you don't, there's like a focus on the current and think about the future, right? You're always looking backward, and you're going to eat your own. So I won't be surprised if you crucify, Amy, because of things she did maybe like 50, 60 years ago. But anyway, that's not a key issue right now. Let's try to connect the whole caucus with money. Why is it important to business folks? Why is caucus or even like politics as a whole, right? Especially the retail aspect of it, because it is basically retail politics or grassroots politics. Why is it important
Yes.
to in the small business owner, immigrant business owners, in a
I,
community?
from the number of business owners that were at the caucus
Hmm.
last night, you can tell that it's important, right? It's important who um, who gets elected into office because this person is going to make policies that will impact resources. It impacts the zoning. Zoning allows what businesses can and come into a neighborhood.
Hmm.
It impacts the resources as far as states, county, and cities have business money. And who is in office decides how that money is distributed and to what businesses they're going to focus or prioritize distributing those resources to. So, for instance, some of the dollars that businesses may get from legislature, they need a city to support that legislature to pass. They need city approval, right?
Hmm.
So they need that city council to support that legislature being passed. Like Second Harvest Heartland received $18 million from the state one time to build their building. But the city of Brooklyn Park had to be involved in that legislature being passed in order for Second Heartland Havens to get that money from the state to be able to build their building. And
Okay.
oftentimes you will hear deed awarded this business to Medtronics, awarded money to 3M. When you hear about these major corporations getting these money, it's because elected officials have supported them in getting that money from the legislature. So that's why
So,
money politics matter.
okay, a couple of things here, right? First of all, for the sake of our audience, for those who are not local to Minnesota, even folks that are in Minnesota, because if you say like only 30,000 folks, statewide show up at the caucus. A lot of people, it means that a lot of people did not participate yesterday. But how many Liberal candidates this year are running in November in these elections? Right now, November, because I don't know everybody. I don't know whether everybody will make it to November. But how many Liberal candidates, maybe locally, even in the Nova suburb or statewide, how many Liberal candidates do you know?
Before I get to that, Abraham, I just want folks to know when we talk about money. So sometimes election cycles gain or earn, make these campaigns raise about $14.4 billion can be recorded in an election cycle,
Okay.
right? In 1 year, right? The campaigns, political campaigns can raise, that's a lot of money. And then some of that, what they call dark money, that's $1.9 billion that comes from dark money, which is like hidden funding, and that's a whole nother episode, maybe where some of that hidden funding can come from. But yes, so last night I will say, I tip my hat off to the Liberian community. I think we are waking up. We are recognizing the power that we have, but that we don't, that we could have more power if we were involved more politically, right? As one of the oldest African immigrant group to this state of Minnesota, and probably the largest prior, before the Somali population for a long time, we have no political representation throughout the state. Not one
Mm.
office do we hold, unfortunately. And so I think coming out last night spoke volumes. And this, I would say, this is the second caucus season where the Liberian community has really come out. They were out in 2024, and they're out again in 2026 for the elections.
Okay.
And we have 5 Liberians running for office this year,
Statewide.
statewide,
Okay.
which is a record number. 5 are running for office. We
At
have
least at least 4 have joined the diaspora back of Matthew, because we only long in a long time we only have one Liberian always running for political officer, but that's a whole nother one. Oh, go ahead.
So yeah, we have 5 Liberians running for office this year. We have Miss Bernice Cooper is running for office in Brooklyn Park for City
Hmm.
Council
Hmm.
in the West District. We have Winfred Russell, who is running for House Representative. And we have Nehemiah Garley, who is running for Senate district, for senator in Brooklyn Park and Brooklyn Center. And we have Yakasa Wei, who is running for Senate District 66. So he's in the Little Canada area. And we have Mr. Philip Gale, who is running for Central District City Council here in the city of Brooklyn Park. I
Hmm.
think
Okay.
that's everybody.
Okay. Okay. So those are the 5 number. I know they are all DFL. They are all Democrats. Are they running in primary? Are they running against other candidates?
These are all primary folks. They all have folks running against them who are fellow DFL, who are trying to get endorsements as well.
So for the sake for Liberians who are local to these locations, right? Because you have to be in those locations to vote for these candidates, right? Do they have to be DFL? Do they have to be affiliated with the DFL party to make sure that they support those Liberians to
No,
get to the general
no,
election?
no. And I think we have this one for all for one mantra that we say in the Liberian community. I think this year we really need to uphold that. You only need to vote Liberian. Live in the area and vote Liberian. That's all you need to do. You do not need to be Republican. You don't need to be Democrat, right?
Mm.
These are well, the Senate and House are partisan roles. But local office like your city council, they're nonpartisan seats technically, right?
Mm.
Although people do announce what party they're for, but technically you don't have to vote according to party, right? That's not how they're going to show up on the ballot. But the other seats, yes, it'll be, you have a Democrat person, you have a DFL person. Um, And so what we're asking is that you vote Liberian. That's how you should be voting this 2026 election. You know there's a Liberian candidate and you vote for them because they are a Liberian candidate, right?
So even though their politics doesn't align to you, you should vote for them because they are Liberian.
Because what happens is, I would tell
Mhm.
you this for a fact. When
Yeah.
it comes to local races,
Hmm.
people don't vote according to party. You will find that when somebody votes in Maple Grove for a city council member, you may find a Democratic person vote for a Republican candidate.
Okay.
It happens very often.
Okay. Okay. So all of those folks that are running, like the five folks, with the exception of one, all of them are basically concentrated in the Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center area, right?
Yes.
So that's where Liberians are. So Liberians in these locales, right, in those two cities, really, really, and then also though, I mean,
I was about
38A.
to say Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn Center, and Osseo. And I think no, that was Hortman's seat. Hortman's seat, she had a little bit of Coon Rapids and Champlin,
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah.
yeah,
And so yeah, her seat is not up for election right now.
it is. It is. Vang, I talked to.
Oh
I mean,
yes,
yeah,
yes,
Vang was on the show. He's running the game, right? He has to defend that seat. You know,
yes.
like almost two
But
times in
no,
a year.
there's nobody opposing him on the Democratic side, so he may not pass the primary.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
So
Unless somebody opposes
My man Erickson said decided to say that. I mean, to say that out. Erickson said decided to say that out this time. He didn't.
Yes, and I respect his decision. It was based on family dynamics, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has young kids, barely
Okay.
young kids, to be honest. And this takes a lot. Your family has to be committed to this process for running for office. And so I think he left the state. He had did so much work. If he had continued to be here, he was going to be a shoo-in. But he left the state, and so he wants to take the time and do that work and put in that work and that time, and then focus on his family and come back, be ready to run for the seat and be successful.
Okay. Well, folks, tonight on, I mean, this is our business and finance segment, but we're focusing on politics, right? Because this year, I think politics is really, really important. I mentioned Erickson say here, right? He's the one that last year when we had him here on the Inner Circle podcast, said, "We don't mess with politics, politics mess with you," right?
Yep.
And I've always remembered that. And I think tonight, I know our people don't like to mess with politics, but for what I'm hearing from Miss B, from a first-hand account, she was at the caucus last night, and she said a lot of Liberians, a lot of immigrants show up at the caucus last night, which is important, right? Because these folks are going to be setting our tax bill. Have you realized that property taxes are going through the roof because these fools sit down in these city houses or in these legislation, and they keep jacking that stuff up? I mean, mortgages, right? Mortgage is becoming unaffordable because we have property tax and homeowners insurance are going through the roof, right? I hear a report that to rent is cheaper now than to own a home. Why? Because of property taxes and homeowners insurance. Once this insurance company wants to raise their rate, this politician don't say no to them because to Miss B point, these are folks that are sponsoring their campaign. So so that's it. That's why we are focused on politics tonight, even though it's our finance and business segment. But it is very, very important. But couple of things, Miss B, since you are giving, I mean, what you want to say something? Go
No,
ahead.
I was going to touch on the property tax thing. Like, homeowners for the longest, when as an organizer, when I'm advocating for affordable housing, you feel like that subject is not, a issue for you, right? For the longest, oh, I'm a homeowner, I'm not a renter. But here it is now. Renters are getting better off than you because you have become cost burdened by your mortgage. Just how renters were, burdened by their rents. Now, as mortgage holders, we are cost burdened by our mortgages too. So I think the conversation about affordability and owning a home and it being affordable in this country, it should be everybody's conversation. It should not be homeowners versus renters.
We have cheaper mortgages, but these politicians are so is that whoever telling them to be raising property taxes, to be agreeing with the insurance company to be jacking up homeowners insurance rates, it's crazy. So I think I've been a politician in city halls, in state legislatures for these property taxes, because whenever they want to raise money to pay whoever they want to pay, the first place they turn is property taxes. They say, "Come on, give me a break."
Because why? Businesses that are involved in politics, they lobby. They show up and they lobby to politicians around their taxes, They lobby to politicians around the things that they, regulations, permits, all those things. They lobby to politicians to keep those things low. And they lobby to politicians to get more incentives. And so that's why politics and money go hand in hand. And
Okay,
if
okay,
you're a business owner and you're not being involved in the conversation, you're being left out and your issues and concerns are not on the table.
okay. So let's focus now on on the demographics for last night caucus. Who all show up? Like the demographics. Who are the people that show up? First on the count.
They don't really talk about as far as color, people of color. They really just talked about as far as progressive
But
showing.
I mean, from your
I
own
knew from my
observation, from your own observation,
I will say
from last
from
night.
where I was, there were more Black people than anything. And when I say Black, I'm counting African immigrant and African American, right? So
Mm-hmm.
there were more Black people than any other race that showed up at the place that I was at last night at the I don't want to call it a precinct because it was multiple precincts in one building. So the caucus site or location,
Mm-hmm.
there were more Black people in that space last night than any other race in that space. And when we break down the nationalities or cultural groups, there were more African immigrants in that space compared to Asian, Latino, and African American.
That's great. That's great. So, what was the issue, right? I know Minnesota is the epicenter of haunting immigrants, epicenter of immigration crackdowns. What was the issue animating folks that attended the DFL caucus last night?
What was the issue as far as having the
Issues.
caucus?
Yeah, no. What was the issue animating people? What was the issue making? What are the issue? What was the issue that drove folks to the caucus? And at the caucus, well, what folks was most concerned about? I guess.
So, of course, we all know with ICE being here in Minnesota, with everything that's going on with immigration, that is the thing that really drove people to caucus, right?
Mm-hmm.
People want to make sure, of course, they want to keep Minnesota blue. They don't want our state to turn red. So first and foremost, and then again, we are hoping to gain the trifecta we had, the last election cycle. And so those are some of the things that people talked about. And in gaining that trifecta, people are hoping for more favorable policies to be passed for people, for the low income people, for people of color. So people really are looking to get more people of color in these seats, or allies that they feel support our agenda, right? That
Mm-hmm.
supports their agenda. Low income people, people of color, seniors, youth, people that support those agendas are the people that people are trying to get elected.
Got it. Got it.
And I
Well,
will say another thing that happens during caucus is resolutions around policies get passed in caucus. And these are resolutions that candidates can now take to push policies to get passed on.
so what are you guys? What were some of the resolutions that that were passed last night?
Um, One of the resolutions that got passed last night was around parking, the parking audience in suburban cities. Because you go to Minneapolis, you're allowed to park on the street. Suburban cities, they don't allow you to park overnight between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. at all. And it's even worse in the wintertime, right? And so and then of course, largely where those parking towing happens is in, again, the apartment complex neighborhood, the predominantly urban areas of the suburban cities. When I say urban, meaning the population that lives there, is where people cars get towed. And one year, I remember when I looked at 1 month of towing was about $30,000 the tow company made in 1 month, one night of towing. And all the cities get a percentage of that money. So your city, which you pay taxes in, the street that you're paying your taxes is going towards taking care of, but you're getting towed off of it. Your city makes money off that toll. So they're making extra money off of you when you're getting towed. And so that resolution got passed that there will be no towing of vehicles between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. all year round, except doing snow plowing emergencies.
okay. Okay.
And then another one that got passed was to allow for plant-based option foods to be available in the schools. So when we say schools, we mean like colleges, high schools, elementary schools, that plant-based opportunities are available as far as meal options in the schools.
Okay, okay. Well, folks, tonight we are discussing money and politics, the caucus connection, right? There's our business and finance segment. Ms. B, I think she has given you all of the rundown for what happened last night. I've educated you about the caucus process. Hopefully you have learned a lot tonight. You can participate, right? If you have a question, you can still put in our chat or call our number 952-594-5154. But I want to switch gear a little bit though, right? And comes to the money aspect of it, because all of these candidates, especially the father brain candidates you mentioned, right, won't get to their ultimate destination without money, right? They won't get what they want to get without money, because politics, I mean, especially here, it's expensive, right? You have to print campaign materials, you have to compensate folks to knock doors, right? Even if you don't have to pay them, but you have to get them small thing or feed them, to knock on those doors. You have to work if you are working the phone banks is not free. How can folks in our community support candidate of their choice? How? Because sometimes the one thing I think, you don't have education around, right? When it comes to political donation, I think from my own experience, right, a lot of Africans or African immigrants feel that's a foreign thing to them. That's that's not their concern, right? They just want to show up and vote. But what important does money play in our politics here, right? That we should be that, and maybe that's one area that we really need to be engaged. Whether it's $5, $1, whatever.
Because oftentimes the countries that people are coming from, that is not a norm for where a candidate raises money from the population to pay for their campaign, right? Oftentimes you'll find that wealthy people end up getting in those seats, or people who've been in the seats are in there for so long, where the community is not being tasked with raising money for that campaign. And so here in America, because this is such a grassroots effort, it's common for people to support their candidates by giving money to their campaigns. And so now you take people who this is not a part of their culture, this is not a norm, and you put them in this setting. They're wondering, like, what is this about? Especially when they're coming from corrupt governments, where they feel government and politics is all about taking people's money, or it's about corruption. So they don't understand or make that correlation. But I am telling you, folks, $5, you spend $5 anyways every day on things that bring you no value, to be honest. $5 giving to these campaigns will go a long way. If we calculate the amount, just 15,000 Liberians alone in the city of Brooklyn Park. And, when the candidates I talked about, 4 of them out of the 5 are running in Brooklyn Park. And if you just took $5 from 15,000 and calculate that's more than those campaigns need, because local elections can be won with $10,000 budget, $5,000, even $4,000 budget. When I managed Winfred Russell's campaign in 2018, we only raised, I think, about $6,000 for that campaign, and he won.
Yeah.
So just tell you, $5 times 15,000 people can go a long way. It can actually supply money to all of these campaigns that I've talked about, which will give them a good leg up to be able to win these seats. So we really need to put our $5 where our mouth is this election season and support these campaigns.
Well, before you put your $5 away of money, we need to set certain things straight here. Right? First of all, yeah, I give that to you, wherein, like you said, folks who come here, they come from corrupt societies, wherein, like, they are not used to wherein, individuals given to campaigns, right? Because in those countries, the money folks or politicians are considered, the rich folks, right? When they get there, and then folks look up to them for whatever and things like that. But here, I think maybe like the orientation and mindset need to change when you come here. I think that there needs to be a whole class on American politics. Because that's something that if a politician come and ask you for money, you wonder, what? Why are you asking me for, for my support? But if you can support the candidate of your choice when they get there, when you talk to them, they will listen. And one thing about America, right, is like when you say, hey, they will listen because next time, especially the U.S. House of Representatives and these local election, most of them is 2 years. So if you contribute to the person campaign in year one, and then two, and then the person in that 2 year, they is that when you try to talk to them, they don't answer your phone. Next time, guess what? They come to you. You know what I mean? It's like it's not only that you're not going to vote for them, but you won't I mean you will not write a check, right? You won't write a check for them again, right? Because they never listened to you, whatever advocacy you had, they never listened to you. So I think it's the mindset that needs to change for a lot of immigrants, especially African immigrants, right? Or immigrants from countries where in like the political system here is foreign to them. Where in like, look, if you want impact, you need to not just go and vote for the candidate of your choice. You need to contribute to that campaign. And to your point, it doesn't take like millions of dollars to do that. That's what they call them small dollar campaign, $5, $10, $15, right? Mind you, even though corporations like big corporations or rich individuals are writing check, but there are also limits on them. Sometimes small dollar campaign, those are the grassroots campaign that really can make a difference. And that's why candidates or political candidates reach out to these. I mean, a lot of political candidates are one that can really make a difference, right? Donald Trump, his first year, even though he was a billionaire, small dollar contribution actually, contribute. I mean, those little folks contributed hugely to his campaign.
That's how Obama won his election.
That how him to raise lots and lots of money. So to your point, yes, and that's the thing, right? That's a mindset. One of the things I'm always excited about our platform here, right? Bringing kind of a conversation, folks. It's a mindset we need to change around political donation. It's not only for the rich. It's not only for those that have the means. Even if you are struggling, right? Maybe make that $5 available so that when you go talk to the Winfrey Russell, the Huda Hisley, the Bernice Cooper, or whatever, the Nehemiah Galley, whoever, right? If you go talk to them, you say, "Oh man, you contributed to my campaign, right?" I mean, what do you have to say to me, right? It's like they will actually listen to you. American politicians do listen to you if you contribute to their campaign. Not only you voting for them, if you just vote for them, so they don't listen to you, man. As we are learning right now, right? It's like those are actually financially support these candidates. They do listen to them.
So I would say you give $5 at McDonald's. There's no return on that besides is a transaction. You give to a campaign, it's a tax write-off. So it's a tax benefit to you. So what that means is the amount of money you donate to all these campaigns, they'll give you something that you can give to your tax preparer to help whatever you owe to IRS to decrease that amount that you owe in taxes, right? If you're going to owe something. So it's a direct benefit. And another way that money, politics, and business go hand in hand. I'm working with somebody and they want to open a laundromat in Maple Grove. And Maple Grove has really bad, harsh water, right? And so that owner, that person that's trying to open that laundromat now, and all it is, the water being better in Maple Grove or whatever city, I'm just using a hypothetical city, but it's a real thing. But the water being bad in your city is the city council. The city council is the one decides how good your water is. How do they do that? They can spend money on the water purifying system in the city across the board. And harsh water, as a homeowner or a renter, you're going to pay the price of harsh water. Even as a business owner, you will pay the price of harsh water. Harsh water is going to mess with pipes. It's going to mess with your appliances. So just think, and as a business owner with a laundromat, you're paying sack and whack charges. So those are the sewage charges, right? As a homeowner, your sewage getting backed up and all those things. That's your harsh water. All those things are impacting you as well. And so when you have a council that is refusing to spend money and to better purify the water system in the city, you want to make sure that you get somebody in office who's going to put that on the council agenda and push for that resolution to pass so the city can invest in getting that harsh water done. You're paying your property taxes anyway. Why should you be dealing with messed up pipes in your business or messed up pipes in your home? So another way how you benefit from having the right people in office, they're going to bring stuff to the council agenda and put it on the council. If it doesn't get brought to the council agenda, it doesn't get talked about, and that issue does not change. So that is the importance of doing that.
Let's focus. I mean, thanks for bringing that up, but let's focus on the candidacy a little bit. I think you brought up something that caught my attention or caught my eye, wherein like political donation are tax deductible, right? That's something I think sometimes candidates in our community are not, because right, if we are asking people for donation, are they explaining these things to folks, right? I mean, I had Bernice on here, obviously, before she could launch her campaign. I've had her on here. We'll try to bring all of the Liberians that are running for political office on here, right? Just to, because obviously, right, it's not only us trying to give them the awareness or for them to have the awareness, but also, right, for people to support them. And guess what? The other thing is, if you're a Liberian or African immigrant running anywhere in this country, and somebody can be anywhere in this country and contribute to your campaign. That's for us here on the Inner Circle Packet. We're going to stress that, right? You don't have to be local to Minnesota or to Broken Park to support these candidates. Anywhere you are as a Liberian, you're in Texas, you're in Georgia, you're in wherever, any Liberian that's running any of these states, you can contribute to that campaign, right? It's like that's important to note. But the other thing you brought up, I think that is also important. Folks need to know that when you contribute to any candidate campaign, it's tax deductible, right? It is tax deductible. That's very, very important. And I think these candidates need to also stress that they shouldn't only be asking for vote. Because if you are only asking a community for vote, sometimes like, you should educate your community about campaign contributions. And those are the things that are not happening, right? They are not, I don't think they are educating their voters or folks they're asking for support about campaign contribution, because it is also important. Your community can come behind you and financially support you. You can take those resources and go convince other voters to vote for you. You could do it, I mean, I think it can be done that way, right? Or both ways. But I don't think the candidates are doing a good job. I could be wrong, right? I don't think our immigrant candidates are doing a good job educating folks about how politics works in this country. Because they assume, oh, the folks are not engaged anyway, or they're not even going to give me their money. So I think the assumption is there. So it has to be a two-way street. As to encourage, folks, the candidates also have to encourage, those that are asking for support.
So when we talk about education, can you imagine after somebody has recruited you, you made all the effort to show up to the caucus last night, you told yourself that you did not want to become a delegate because you did not understand what it even meant to be a delegate. So there is a lot of lack of education that is when it comes to our community. That's what happened last night. I was talking to somebody and it was like, what does it mean to be a delegate? I said, that's why you came here tonight. That candidate recruited you to show up here tonight to sign up to be a delegate. It's like, oh, I refused. I took my name out of, I'm like, wow. So again, the candidates themselves did not do a good job of explaining the process. And I will say, to the candidates' defense, a lot of them are running for the first time. And they're not fully aware. This is their first caucus. This is their first experience. They themselves are learning. It's like they're building the bike and riding it at the same time when you're running for office for the first time, right? We're not seasoned politicians.
Should you educate yourself first before you put your heart in such a arena?
Not necessarily, right? You want the person who their heart is in it. When I say their heart is in it, then they'll bring their mind. You start with your heart first, and then you bring your mind into the process. Meaning, I just feel like the things that are happening in my neighborhood, in my community, just don't sit right with me. I want to do better. I want to see things change. And so, you know what? I'm going to start to run for office. And as I'm running for office, then I realize the formalities, the structural pieces, the infrastructures, and all those things, right? So just because I don't know those formalities and I don't know those infrastructure, I'm not going to agree with somebody running for office. Yes, if your heart is in it, start with the heart and then bring your mind along as well.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Well, we have, obviously the candidate needs to do a good job with the outreach, not only educating the community, because we want folks to vote. A lot of people don't even know I can tell you, right? A lot of folks don't know how the election process works. And I will tell you the 5 Liberian candidates you name, folks will just assume that come November, that's when they should go and vote for them. So I think education is needed. It's needed as well, because I've seen some of the election result in this primary. I say, okay, someone losing by 3 votes or 50 votes or 40 votes in the environment or in the location at a locale where in the predominant people that are there, or the heavily, it might be Kenyans, Liberians, or Nigerians, but yet a Liberian candidate or Nigerian candidate lose by 40, but you wonder, okay, really?
Yeah, like in Champlain.
you
Yeah,
know,
it's Kenyan.
so make
40
that
votes.
make sense to me. So I think
Yeah.
the candidates need to explain the process. Look, before I even get to November, I gotta play first half, right? November, that second half.
Yep.
I gotta play first half or first quarter or whatever,
The
you
primary
know,
is important. Yeah.
because the primary is very important. If you can't get out of the primary, guess what? You're not going to get in November. And I think that's where the candidates, those Liberian candidates, or all the immigrant candidates, I would encourage them, educate your folks, right? And Ms. B mentioned earlier, it doesn't have to be of party affiliation. Let's do it the CDC way, in my Liberian voice, or the Jawia way. Vote one, vote all. Okay, if you are
Yes.
in Broken Park, we are this location, vote one, vote all. For folks that are
It
in
takes
like during
nothing away.
2005, that's
Yeah.
what the CDC made them do. Vote one, vote all.
So you show up. This is how it has to look. You show up that day. You look at your ballot. You find all the Liberians on there, and you vote for them because they're not competing against each other. So it's not to say you can only vote for Nehemiah. You can vote for Nehemiah if he shows up on your ballot. You can vote for Bernice. You can vote for Winfrey. You can vote for Mr. Phillip, because all of them are running for different seats. So they're not competing with each other. I don't, and that's what I want was happening at the caucus last night. And I want people to not do that. You are lessening your chances of, let's think about the Powerball, right? You can have all five, but you need six numbers. So when you don't play six numbers, you have decreased your chances of winning the Powerball. You have four candidates you need to vote for. If you don't vote for all of them, you are decreasing the likelihood of you getting at least one Liberian person in office in 2026. So the mentality for the Liberian community is that you need to vote for all four Liberians. If you see them on your ballot, vote for them. Don't just go and show up for that one person that you know personally and vote for them. No, no, no. Because if you go to the ballot, you've never met the president, you vote for a president. You've never met the vice president, you vote for, and so on and so forth, right? You vote for those other seats.
I think they should be. I mean, they should vote the way I vote. When I go to vote, I vote for all my Republican candidates. Bad, good, ugly. I vote for all of them. That's why. I mean, it's like every election year. That's
Exactly.
what I do. I vote for
Exactly.
all. I vote for all of my Republican candidates. Whether I know them, I don't know them. I say, hey man, there you go, Republican. Boom, I vote for you. So, I mean, yeah, I agree with you. But that's what folks should do. Vote one, vote all. So maybe we can have some representation. Now, if there's out of those four, if you don't agree with one, don't bother. Don't cross them. I hit both for three, right? I would say, but I agree with Miss B, right? Vote one, vote all, and who knows, one or two might emerge.
Yeah.
Let's forget about I think what other folks are learning, right? I will kind of give a pass to. We are the second largest immigrant group in the state. We've been here for a long time. We are here, but we don't have an impact. I mean, we don't have an impact. Even the politicians don't, and that's why we have brought some politicians on this platform. They don't even know the impact that Burn have. Okay, even that broken part, there are a lot of folks, that have come on our platform, elected officials, they don't know the impact of like Burens. And I think it's about time that either through the election board, supporting our candidates financially, those things need to start manifesting itself. It needs to start showing. We can't just sit on the sidelines. But guess what? I mean, when it comes to deport people, deportation not only going to be for the Somali and the Latinos, they're also going to, as you can see, some of our Liberian folks have gotten caught up in what is going on here in Minnesota, right? So everybody have to be politically engaged, and it's about time, especially in Minnesota, the capital of the Liberians and diaspora. We need to have some political representation in this state.
And I say let's keep up the momentum, because I did see folks that don't even live anywhere in the state, in the city, that were there going live last night on their social media channels, telling people, if you do live in here in this city, please show up. This is important, right? This thing needs its own campaign, honestly. We have the favorable four are running for office, and it needs its own campaign. And we as Liberian citizens, no matter where you live, right, this needs to be a nationwide focus to spend our money, get these folks elected into office, showing up everywhere at any wedding, baby shower, any event that is Liberian hosted event. we should be talking about 2026 elections in the state of Minnesota. If you're hosting a barbecue, if you invite me to anything, just know I'm going to be asking for the microphone to tell us to be paying attention to these elections here for 2026 for these candidates to be elected.
And Inner Circle Podcast is going to be, I said we are hitting the road this year. This campaign we're going to be involved, not only bringing folks in studio, right, on the platform here, but we're also going to meet them where they are, on the campaign trail. We're going to be at these. We're not at the caucus last night, right, because we're still trying to figure out our, equipment needs and all those stuff, But the roadshow part is coming, right? We'll hit the road. We will be politically engaged. We have to educate folks about, because I think that's one thing that's lacking not only in Minnesota but across this country. That's why we don't have political representation, because our folks are not educated about the political process there. I mean, it pains me sometimes. So many Liberians in this country are so much engaged in politics back home than here. I'm wondering, but damn, you pay taxes here though. You don't pay taxes on that side. And this way, even if you are a renter here, you are paying taxes, right? This is where your life, this is where you are doing everything. And it pains me we have so many Liberians so much politically engaged back home than here. And that's why I think we are getting distracted. That's a distraction, because we are getting eating for lunch, and then but our focus is somewhere else. So I think it's time to change that. And we here at Inner Circle Podcast, we're going to do our best. Obviously, my co-host there, she's a retail politician, she's an activist, even though she and I don't agree politically, but she's an activist, always in the community and politically engaged and heavily engaged and stuff. So that's a good thing. But we'll do our party as well, right? So just try to change the mindset and the narrative about our folks getting involved politically, because, man, I think the one thing you should learn about America, politics, that right now, I mean, my man is dominating conversations, where business people are running to the White House. Everybody is like, you wonder, okay, is politics and business and finance, they mix all the time. And that's what happened. You are seeing that with your own two eyes.
Yep, hand in hand. Because right now is swim or sink for a lot of businesses, especially with what's happening. You have inflation, you have goods in prices increasing, but when you're having the attack that is happening right now in the state of Minnesota, just imagine some folks have been deported. They are walking away from businesses, and so your customers are leaving. It is important now more than ever for you to learn how to swim in these politics to survive as a business owner.
And then one thing you just brought up, right? The SBA, Small Business Administration, just made an announcement, which was shocking to me. I just said, right, some of them was shocking to me. I think it's really going to impact a lot of immigrant businesses. To now get an SBA loan, you have to be a U.S. citizen as a small business owner. It's no longer available to immigrants, green card holders, things like that, right? But those are some of the things to Ms. B point. And then, I mean, the statistics, the data have shown 80% of new businesses established in this country are done by immigrants. Whether permanent resident or citizen, they are done by immigrants. And to cut off a lifeline or the important source of funding, I think it is sad. But those are kind of we live in an environment where now immigrants are under attack from all angles, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of environment we live in. And I think that's why 2026 is important. 2026, I agree with you, is very, very important. We as immigrants need to be politically engaged, because the one thing I realized, out of the whole immigration stuff, the two political parties, right, are taking us to be like cultural war, right?
Yep.
I'm like, really? Immigration and immigrants have become like a cultural war issue, right? It's like, really? And because we are not involved, not only Liberians, immigrant all across this country, we are not involved. Yeah, we just, it's not, I come here, I just want to work, feed my family, and that's it. If 2025 and 2026 have taught us anything, is to be engaged and involved, so that we can make this thing not to be, we cannot be a political football, because that's what it is. That's how immigrants have become in this country.
Yeah, so thanks for bringing that up, Abraham, around the SBA policy change. So if you've been here for a long time as a permanent resident, work on getting your citizenship. Don't make any more excuses. Sacrifice, pay that money, and turn that green card into a citizenship so that you can be involved in this voting process, because it's important.
Yeah. Well, folks, thanks so much for joining us. It's been a great conversation. It's a 1 hour show. We can keep going, but tonight, focus has been money and politics. And as I said, the first 30 to 40 minutes of this show may be educated you guys about the caucus, who all attended the caucus, how the caucus was last night. It was a record on the DFL side. I've not found out about the Republican side, but 30,000 folks show up on the DFL side to caucus. A lot of Liberians participated, last night in the process. A lot of immigrants participated in the process. Hope they can continue to participate. But thanks so much for joining us tonight on this very, very important topic. Well, Ms. B, as we wrap up, what's the message you want to leave with folks tonight?
Get involved, support our candidates. We have the Liberian Favorable Five. I said four before, but Favorable Five. That's the campaign I'm rooting. The Liberian Favorable Five. Somebody take it and run with it, please, and get involved this 2026 election season.
I'm just going to tell you here, right? As like, it might be a favorable fool for me because
I know.
it might be a favorable fool for me because
Favorable four for me too, but I don't want to influence.
because I gotta support my girl, man. Shout out to my girl who that history.
Yeah, shout out to Representative.
I don't live in your district, but I'm gonna write that check so that when I come to you to support Cycle Podcast, I know when I come to the state capital, you always got my back, though. You always got my back. So I'm gonna write that check. I'm gonna make sure folks support you as well. But that's it. And to me, though, right?
That's a prime example right here. The Republican is voting for the Democrat. It can happen, folks.
I'm supporting her financially because
He's supporting her. He can't vote for her.
I don't live in her district. I don't live in at a locale. But I will support her financially because she's a great candidate. I think she's a great
exactly
candidate.
Right. And folks, vote for a good candidate, and that's an example of somebody that is going to be there and be able to work with both sides. Because we always talk about bills getting passed and across the aisle. That's what that means, right? Oftentimes it takes both a Republican vote and a Democratic vote to pass a bill. And she is somebody who has relationships on both sides of the aisle, no matter what. And so it's demonstrated here.
She was the first person that invited me to the state capital. That's why when I said, but these people just be playing with all the kind of money I hear them calling down there and say, hey, I've been in Minnesota here all year. I didn't know that the kind of money people can be playing with here. As I said, man, shout out to my girl who that history, man. But Jesus, the kind of money I heard, and so and those money were being distributed in committee rooms. To Ms. B point, these folks, these representatives and saying that you overlook passing or that they are nothing, they are the one be making these help. You hear them voting on billions.
Thank you.
Oh,
yep.
Wow, so man,
and so as the committee chair, that means you're sitting on. You decide how $200 million gets spent or where $300 million goes. That's what it means to be the committee chair, right? You're making the decision, the final decision to say this group is going to get this money, that group is going to get this money. And so we need people to be in these seats. We need them like yesterday.
Definitely. And I echo that as well, man. Folks, get involved, contribute financially. Don't just go and vote and register to vote. If you are a citizen, register to vote. If you are not your citizen, I don't know how long that person might take you from now to November, especially now with my men trying to tighten everything, but at least give it a shot,
hopefully from
now to November, you might get you might be sworn in as a citizen and participate in the process because it is important more than ever. Very, very important. So I echo that as well. Register and vote, the election this year. And wherever you are, not only in Minnesota, right, wherever you are. And so all the candidates that are running in other states. This platform is for Liberians or immigrants all over this country. Wherever you are running for political office this year, if you want to come on this platform, let us know. We will amplify your voice. We will try to elevate you, empower you, however way we can. But candidates, immigrant candidates running all over, don't be discouraged, right? Get involved in the process and let your folks encourage your folks, right, to participate. It is needed this year, right, so that we cannot play as a political football on both sides, right? Even my party. Both sides is like they are just playing us political football. So, but folks, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Ms. B, it's been great. I know you're traveling this week, so we'll be back sometime next week. But folks, it's been a great show. It's been a great week. Thank you so much for joining us, and you all have a good night, Ms. B. wherever your traveling destination, wherever your traveling adventure is taking you.
Going to
Hope
the Super Bowl.
okay. Hope you have a nice time, folks. We'll see you guys back here, and you all have a good night.
No topics
Good night,
too
everyone.
tough, just heat the